Alright guys, following some requests and suggestions from you, I'm going to look through every single combo I've owned in Counter-Strike 2 today. I really started collecting skins about 2 years ago, like not even, so there has been some drastic upgrades, drastic changes, and I know for a while there was a joke about me changing my loadout too much, so we're going to go through every single combo, we'll get right into it, and I want you guys to let me know in the comments down below which of the combos is your favourite. Now, I'm not going to have pricing for it, because obviously some of them are 2 years old, and like, the pricing doesn't matter. We're strictly visuals and combos here. Now, my first combo I got didn't have gloves. I literally had enough to pick up a knife, and I picked up a paracord slaughter with the default gloves. It was minimal wear, and you know what? Looking at it now, I still like this knife. It's on the... Bro. I still quite like this knife. It's got like unique draw animations, inspect animations. I'm throwing it around the map. This was interesting. Obviously no gloves because I didn't have the budget to at this point, but I think the knife itself is solid and still is one of those budget knives maybe people should consider for the first pickup. I then made a bit of a change. I think it was to go towards a green loadout or to actually get better weapon skins and go for a cheaper knife. Either way, I picked up a Bowie Boreal Forest in minimal wear. Now, it has that nice green handle, but the actual pattern of the Boreal Forest, it kind of is what it is. It's a budget knife for a reason, or budget finish for a reason. It can look good, but ultimately, it's not the most like visually appealing combo out there. It's also worth noting when I bought this, the left hand for the Bowie wasn't a thing, so you would have only seen the right hand. To kind of hone in on how much I liked the paracord when I first started playing, I actually ran a paracord blue steel in Battle Scarred at the end of CSGO. The issue is, this is Battle Scarred and it still looks a little bit purple. In CSGO, it looked considerably more purple. And then that update kind of broke it. Prices dropped. It didn't look as good. And then I made the decision to move away from it. Which is a shame because I actually love that knife. And the only reason I sold it was literally because of the visual change. Absolutely ruining it. And we've got one more knife before I got gloves. When I realized that I wanted better animations and I wanted to play around with something, I ended up going for a field-tested Boreal Forest Talon knife. Now, obviously, this gets wear on it, but for the short while I had it, it was really cool just to be able to spam the animations and stuff like that, which is interesting. But, again, much like the Bowie, nothing stellar about it. It is a cool knife, but there's nothing to write home about it. And this is where it's worth mentioning. I actually got API scammed while trying to change this knife and some skins out. I was going to go for a pair of Scarlet Shams, I think in Battle Scarred, and a gut knife Doppler, because I thought they'd pair together really well. I think it was a CS2 gut knife Doppler I was looking at. And I got API scammed. And that was my first real setback in collecting. So I know some other content creators have covered this. Anomaly has a great video of how not to get API scammed and the steps to follow. I think Arrow's done it as well. But yeah, I got hit by it and it really stumped me for a while. I wasn't sure if I was going to continue on the path of buying skins. And then, as you'll see, I did. So I did have some sight balance after the API scam, and I remember I used unhinged gloves for a short while, I think maybe with no knife, just because that's what I was able to cash out, but that was not really a optional combo. It was kind of like just cashing out what I could. But my first combination with gloves, I went for Snow Leopards in Well Worn. Now this was back in CS2 when the Snow Leopards were a little bit broken and like even in Battle Scar they look clean. So this Well Worn now looks worse than it would have had, but still, pattern wise, it wasn't too bad. And you can see I had it with a Huntsman knife Doppler Phase 1. So this was sort of stemming after I looked at the gut knife. I was like, you know what, I actually kind of like the Doppler knives. I now maybe have the budget to go get one, and I did that. So Phase 1 now would probably be one of my least favourite phases of the Doppler, but with this white just getting full pink and purple, I can see why at the time I was loving this. This was a bright, flashy combination, and it just did the trick. I think I also eventually, I got more sight balance, and I started picking up like Icarus Fell with the Snow Leopards, a Vulcan with the Snow Leopards, and it was just kind of a vibe. Now, my change after this was because I wanted to run certain colour themes on each side. So since day one, I've always been a big fan of trying to build a green loadout, but the issues would be, like the AK, the options are Wild Lotus and Hydroponic. They're both very expensive, and there's nothing else really in between that looks nice. So I ended up going for green on T side, and sort of making it work, and we had a Huntsman Phase 3 Gamma Doppler. Now, you can see here the Jade gloves, I had them in field test, they look clean. With the Phase 3, you got that nice green and blue. It's kind of a cool combo. I ran the green on, I'm pretty sure I ran the green on T side. because I had a Gamma Doppler Glock, and that was the vibe of this loadout. But what I also did at this point was, because I wanted to run blue on the CT side, and the knife has green and blue, I kept the knife, but I got a second pair of gloves, which were the overprints in field test with a fairly decent pattern on them, so I had lots of that nice cyan color coming through, and they looked pretty clean. So this was my first stage of kind of like, I'm not going to say going for a proper theme, but like really committing to the theme, trying to do like a color on each side. This was the first step off it. This was budget level still, like essentially, I don't know, like let's say $1,000 budget loadout. This must have been maybe slightly less, but it was a vibe and it was cool. And Intercam is joke, since I got more money for more skins, my combinations have just become generic. But that combination was actually one of my longest lasting combinations in all this time. For someone that changes the loadout quite a bit, that's good going. But what I changed to is still one of my favourite combos I've had, because it was the Arids, the sports gloves, and I had them in well worn, and then I got a butterfly knife in well worn. So this is me getting a butterfly knife for the first time. I've always really liked the lower knives. I wanted to make sure I could finally pick one up, and honestly, the Arids are a little bit slept on. They're one of the more rare sports gloves out there, and I got a butterfly knife that had enough scratches on the back so that it looked mostly like grey with some gold accents coming through. And obviously the blade is a little battered. I put a name tag on it saying "Welcome to Valhalla," and I built a gold loadout. And it was, I can't lie, it was a vibe. However, this was the point where every single dedicated colored theme loadout would have a gap somewhere. So after 3 to 4 weeks, I would get annoyed by that gap and then build another loadout. So then I changed to what I still think is one of my more unique combos that you don't see that often in-game, that actually looks good. It's not something wild wacky. I went for low float field tester foundation gloves. Now these were 0.21 float, but they are a good pattern. You can see there, slight mark on the E on the left hand side, but outside of that, these are very clean looking gloves. And I had a well-worn M9 black laminate. Now, in general, you don't see the foundation gloves too much. They have the perk of pairing perfectly with Asimov skins, but other orange skins in the game, the orange clashes a little bit, like a Tiger Tooth. That's why I went for the black laminate. But this, I still feel, very unique combo that was very nice. I actually started doing custom crafts for this. I was enjoying it, but as I mentioned at the start, my dream loadout has always been like this perfect green color, because green would be at the top, and then these like purples, pinks, and blues kind of come in secondary, and then I've got this appreciation for orange. This is why I changed loadout so much, because I like so many colors, and I build so many cool loadouts for you guys that I'll see a nice combo, and I'm like, damn, kind of want that myself. But what I then changed to, I committed to emerald webs. Now, they were well worn, they were 0.3 at float, but like you can see, compared to the foundations, they're nowhere near as clean. But in-game, rocking them, whenever you're actually just running around with an AK, you didn't really notice too much. Like, this is what you're seeing. The wear doesn't show up too much when you're actually just playing the game. That is just kind of how it is. Some wear coming through. They're definitely cool gloves. But my big thing here was, me and Intercam sat for ages, probably a couple of weeks, discussing the Bowie knife. Now, this is a Phase 3 Gamma Doppler Bowie knife. And I love the accent color still. That accent color on the Phase 3 is a perfect color green. That accent color is actually better than what the Emerald gets on the Bowie. It's perfect. However, when I was thinking about buying this, still the Bowie update hadn't come through. So you wouldn't have seen the left-hand glove. And I got to the point where I was thinking, you know what, I'm going to buy it. What I decided was, I said, I'm going to sleep on it. And then I'll make the decision. I woke up, and lo and behold, that very night, Valve put an update out, which added the left hand into the game, and shot the prices up of the knives. Now, I still managed to buy my Bowie knife. I think it was on Skinport I grabbed this one for. It had a little bit of increase, but nothing crazy. But then by the time I sold it, I lost like £30–40, because the hype had died, and that had passed. So, very unfortunate timing for me, but still a pretty cool combo. Then it was around this time that I was focusing a lot on red loadouts. And with that, I then decided, I'd always wanted a stiletto knife, so I ticked this one off as well. I went for field tests at Scarlet Shams. They were 0.20 float, so really nice field test. You can see how clean they look here. And then I went for a factory new stiletto slaughter. Now, I still stand by Scarlet Sham and slaughter being one of the best combinations you can get in the game. It is a stellar combo. It always looks good. And this was an absolute vibe. I actually built a full... I was loving the red loadout videos I was building. I then built it myself. I rocked it and enjoyed it. And then I had that niggly thing of being like, it's time to change. And really, from when I built the gold loadout through to these next couple of loadouts, that's when I was changing way too often. For example, I knew that I loved the stiletto. It was I still think it's generally an S tier knife, but it's probably my favorite knife in the game. I then wanted a pink gem, and I got it with battle scarred vice gloves. Now, I spent a while, I paid a little bit of overpay, I got vice gloves that, believe it or not, this is good battle scarred vice gloves. Now, this combination, I think everyone in the community with me was agreeing that it was just banging. It was like a $2,000 loadout. I got a pink gem, I got vice gloves, I had lots of blue and pink skins. I had an Icarus Fell running with this. I can't remember what AK I had. It might have been an Inheritance at the time. But like, we just had an absolutely chill, vibey loadout. And then I just felt the need for a change because the wearing the gloves was annoying me. Now, I can't lie, it's at this point I ended up in a really odd spot with the loadout because my combination was field tested Omegas, which you can see here, really nice accent colors. They look good when you use them in game. They're still a very good pair of gloves. But I just went Falchion Noir. I wouldn't, because in my mind, I knew this was going to be short-term loadout. So I actually, at the time, this is when I was trading back and forward on CS2. I think this loadout I was running, I ran it whilst having somewhere between 700 and 900 pound of float balance, just chilling the entire time whilst I figured out my loadout. Because I didn't want to like just take the 2% fee hit anymore. I was like, I'll just run this and I'll figure out the loadout. Now, I will say, the Falchion's really cool. Like, the rare inspect animation, if I can force it, is cool. Every time you draw it, you get a nice click. Every normal inspect is twisting. It's like a budget butterfly, if we're being real. But after a while running this, and I honestly, what I did for this, I was running mixed skins. So, like, not everything was gonna... I'm trying to get a skin that wouldn't match this necessarily. Like, I was trying to get skins that wouldn't be direct pairings with the Omegas. And it was chill. And then I thought, I figured it out. Because ultimately, my issue is I want to change weapon skins a lot, and I need neutral gloves, or gloves that pair with everything to allow that. So I went back to Snow Leopards, but I got them field test. I got them 0.23 float to look much cleaner, and I paired them with a Huntsman Phase 2 Gamma Doppler. And you know what? I bought this, and I was like, this will be it. This will be easy. This is what I'm going to do. And I used this for 2 weeks. And then I thought, you know what? No. All this time, I've never owned a gem knife. I mentioned pink gem. That's a normal Phase 2. We call it pink gem. I had never owned a gem knife. Now, the gloves were clean, but still, they weren't perfect. I feel like when I was using them, I didn't have this deagle at the time, but my issue was I'd use them with a deagle like this and just think, not 100%. And that's when I made the change to the gloves that you still see me use today. And I say that, I've had them for like 2 months at this point, maybe 2.5 months. It's not been crazy long, but I changed to Knox and the Emerald. Now, it's at this point, I fully expect you guys to say I'm stupid for changing from this combo, because I had an Emerald. Why did I change? Now, this was an absolute vibe when I first got it. I had my bright green Emerald knife that I'd always wanted, and I had the Knox gloves, they're tier 1, the .30 field test, the full black vibe. Absolutely sweet. I've got neutral gloves. I can use any skin in the game I want. It's going to look good. And then I've got my big shiny knife. And it looks incredible on train. But then this is where my issue of like getting bored with combinations or like overthinking it. And I use this and it's cool. And then I was just looking at it and I was like, you know what? It's a very aggressive bright green. Like the pink gem's really cool. Black Pearl, really sleek. Ruby is also like kind of bright. It's kind of in this conversation with the Emerald. And then I also made the decision, because I've always been a big advocate of making sure you utilize good budget on weapon skins and then get a nice overall value knife and glove combo. And for that, I say spend about 50%, maybe to 60% of your budget on your knife and glove combo, the rest on weapon skins, because realistically, if you're running around with an AK, you're not going to be looking at your knife, because you're going to be looking at the AK the whole time, right? And with this combo, I had 75 to 80% of my budget tied up in the combo, so I had to make a change. And that takes us to the combo I have now. I have just one pair of gloves. It is still the Knox, tier 1, but I'm running 2 knives. So on the T side, I'm running a Stiletto Tiger Tooth. Yes, I ended up back at the Stiletto. I think what I have realized from changing loadouts over the last 18 months is I definitely have my key preferences, and I will eventually go back to them at some point. So, value for money, I was like, I want a Stiletto knife, but I want something that's really like cool and offers me that value for money, and Tiger Tooth is exactly that. The finish looks very good in Counter-Strike 2, and my overall idea was that my T side could be black gloves with green and gold skins. And this is orangey gold, really kind of hard to claim as gold, but it's as close as I'm going to get for now. And then I picked up a survival feed. One that I actually looked at for a couple of weeks and I wasn't sure of. And then I found this is a 96% feed with a 0.0069 float. So really cool feed percentage, kind of cool float number, and there wasn't much overpay for it. And I was like, you know what? I've not owned a survival knife. I've not owned a feed knife. Yes, I might change it in a couple of months, but let's run it. Let's have something different, unique, and see how it goes. So that is all the way from my first combination to where I'm at now. And I will admit, I want to get a second combo sometime in the near future, but I need things to align for that. But the one thing I know for sure is, I think, unless the Knox have another ridiculous price range, and I'll try to remember to put a screenshot on screen, because they got a stupid price increase in December. Like, I know if I was to buy these when I first considered buying Knox in early 2024, they were much cheaper than what I bought them for in December time. And even in December, after I bought them, they rose by like another $150. So if they rise like that again, I might just have to sell and take the $200 profit. But if they retain their price, my goal would be I always keep the Knox gloves in my inventory, because on T side, being able to use any skin I want with them is very nice. Now, with that said, I'm going to stop the waffle there. I have to say a big thank you to you guys, because without the support in the channel, we wouldn't be at this point of being able to give back, and also being able to build out some cool loadouts for myself as well. A big thank you to the YouTube members that continue to support the channel. That is always greatly appreciated, and we continue to try and find new ways to give back to you guys specifically for the continued support. So let me know your favorite combo in the comments down below. Let me know if I was cooked for selling that emerald or not, and next time you see me, I'll try not to have changed my loadout once again. Thank you for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.